Do you feel like you know a lot of people but don't feel known by a few? Do you feel like you're networked but still not sure if you've got that net, those people that they're like the ones you would call and who would have you support you? If you had to answer the question, how loved and supported do you feel? How would you answer that question? And did you know that how we answer that question says more about our health 10, 20 years out than any other factor? Including exercise and diet and all these things that we give so much attention to. They're important, but how connected we feel, how supported we feel, the intimacy in our lives, the relationships, the tribe, the community, the friends that we have matter more to our health, to our immune system, to our mental health, to our longevity, to our nervous system, to our ability to protect our bodies from stress. The list goes on and on and on and on. Our relationships are so crucial. And yet for so many of us, our relationships are a matter of stress. They're not meaningful. We feel more exhausted by them. We feel like, is it worth my time? We feel like they're toxic, they're not healthy, they're not good enough. And we kind of just are like not quite sure how to find and make better friendships. I want to do a short series on what makes a good friend, what we can do to solve some of those problems in our relationships. Not because we're the ones at fault, but because we're the ones who are willing to say, this matters to me. How can I improve these? And so how can we show up in our relationships in a way that shifts the dynamic, that increases the meaningfulness for our sakes, that makes sure that we feel more supported? Basically, how do we make healthier friendships? We give a lot of attention in our culture to the person, like, is that a good friend or is that person healthy? And the truth of the matter is that while who the people are matter, what matters even more than who they are or who we are is what pattern we create together, what behaviors we practice, what structure gets made as we develop a friendship. And that is what we can evaluate. That's what we can shift. That's what we can change. I'm the author of a book called Frientimacy, How to Deepen Friendships for Lifelong Health and Happiness. And in that book, I go into great depths, but I just wanted to share the 3 relationship requirements in a quick little intro video. And then we're going to have some follow-up videos that take each one of these 3 requirements to more depth. You can watch all 3 and learn about all 3, or you can go and take the Frientimacy quiz that I have. You can go to girlfriendcircles.com/Frientimacy quiz and get a score for each of these 3 requirements in your relationships, and then watch the videos that are your lowest score and how to raise those up so your relationships are more meaningful. However you want to do it, the goal is that we have more of us who are out there in this world who even know what a healthy friendship is and are willing to practice the behaviors that make up a healthy friendship. Behaviors, key word on that, because so many of us don't even know what a friend is. It sounds crazy because we've used the word our entire life, and it goes to mean a lot of different things. And I use friend as there's varying levels of friendship. I teach 5 different circles and also a triangle, Frientimacy triangle, and there's varying levels of friendship, all the way ranging from the most casual, loosest ties to our deepest, closest, most intimate confidants. And all of those get called under our word friend. But even that, we don't really know what it means. People will often say to me, well, it's just the person who loves you the most. And I'm like, no. Or it's like, we're the person that I like the best. And no, there's a lot of people I like that we haven't developed a good friendship with. We'll name qualities we like. Somebody who makes me laugh. And I'm like, no, there's a lot of people that make you laugh that are not friends. We kind of have this list that we kind of start naming qualities, or we'll say somebody who's known you the longest, somebody who's seen the worst of you and loves you anyway. We have all this very romantic terminology. And at the end of the day, while some of those might be true of some of our friendships, they don't define friendship. A healthy friendship, by definition, is something we can evaluate and say, does this meet these requirements or not? And the definition of a friendship is any relationship between any 2 people where they both feel seen in a safe and satisfying way. So 2 people who both know each other, who get to know each other, they feel seen, it feels safe, it feels trustworthy, it feels reliable, and it feels satisfying, it feels good, it feels enjoyable. And so those three things I put on a triangle, and I teach how we build friendship. So based on these three things, we can start any friendship because we know exactly what three things to like pay attention to. We can deepen and build any relationship because we know exactly what three things to pay attention to. And we can repair any friendship because we know how to evaluate and say, which one of these three things is lacking in this particular relationship. And we know how to pay attention to that and how to practice that one and build it up and put more of it into our relationship. And I guess we could also say it gives us information around who isn't our friend or what friendships might need to end, or we simply are acknowledging it wasn't a friendship to begin with by looking and saying this consistently does not meet these three requirements. And so we always have choices then to say, where do we want to repair? Where do we want to just kind of end? Where do we need to make these decisions? But at least we know now how to evaluate these relationships. And so based upon our definition of wanting to feel seen in a safe and satisfying way, the three actions that lead to that outcome is at the bottom of the triangle, positivity. Because at the end of the day, we want to feel good when we're with our friends. And so feeling good can be defined by feeling where we laugh, where we enjoy each other, where we feel affirmed, where we feel accepted. That's what it comes down to, is we want to know that people like us. And so anything that we can do that say we had fun together, we like each other, good things. So we're going to do a whole video on how to increase the positivity in our relationships, how to leave each other's company feeling better for having been together. And then we've got the first leg of the triangle, which is consistency. That's our second requirement of all healthy friendships, because just having fun together, if we just do it once, it's not a friendship. We have to repeat it. We have to do it regularly. We have to interact. We have to log the hours. We have to get to know each other. And so we need to spend time together consistently. And I'll talk about how that builds trust and what that looks like and how to build consistency in a video on how to increase that consistency to make our relationships more reliable, more trustworthy, more safe. And then the third requirement of all healthy relationships is vulnerability. This is a word where we kind of are like, and get a little nervous, but I'm not talking about vomiting our life story on each other. I'm not talking about sitting down with a list of our insecurities. I'm simply talking about sharing more of ourselves with one another in a safe way. And that's because we do it incrementally. So I'll teach you in that video what that looks like, how we can build in our vulnerability, how we can let people see more of us and what we can do to help see them more. And so this is really about letting more of our life in so that they don't just know this side of us, but they know this side of us. And we've talked about this topic and we've done this subject together. And so it's allowing us to get to know each other in more ways, fill that picture out, if you will. And so at some point, as we go up the triangle with people, as we get closer, that will involve sharing our insecurities and going through crises together. But that's not the bulk of vulnerability. Vulnerability is simply letting ourselves be open, letting ourselves be seen. And we can do that thoughtfully and strategically. So it's not all or nothing. And but at the end of the day, we do need to be seen if we want to feel loved, if we want to feel accepted. We only will feel accepted if we feel like somebody actually saw us enough to accept us. And so then these three things repeat. We have a good time, we want to do it again, so we schedule more time, we share a little bit, get to know each other with vulnerability, then they respond well, it feels good, so we want to do it again, so we get together again, and there goes the pattern. Is always a matter of having fun, getting together, sharing ourselves, and continuing to do those three things. And of course, there's variations and nuances of what this looks like if we're talking about on social media relationships versus teamwork relationships versus long distance relationships versus family relationships. So applying these three things can look drastically different based upon the context. But in general, when we look at what bonds a team, what makes a healthy team, what creates trust, psychological trust in people, what makes us name one person a best friend over somebody else, what makes for a healthy marriage. When we look at any way of measuring relationships, the three things that always come out in every single thing that everything else can be categorized under are these three things. Again, we have to feel like we're seeing each other, it has to feel safe and do it again, and we have to feel good about it. And so we are empowered to know how to go into this world and look at any relationship I guarantee you that any relationship in your life that's not feeling good right now, it is because at least one of these three things is in lack. You can look at these three things and say, oh yeah, I mean, it's always fun, positivity, and we always share and see each other, and I feel vulnerable with her, and so, okay, we've got that, but we don't do it regularly enough. We need to increase our consistency to have this relationship feel better. Or maybe it's that we have fun often, and we see each other regularly, and we have a good time, but we're not actually getting to know each other. The vulnerability piece is missing. And so as we start going through this, you can look at every relationship in your life. And it might be that there's a pattern for you. It might be that all your relationships more or less have the same requirement lacking or lagging behind. And it might be that that's the area you want to focus on the most in all your relationships. Or it might be that this relationship, like you can improve it by simply adding more positivity. And this relationship over here, you can improve it by adding more consistency. And this relationship over here, you can add by being more vulnerable. And so we can look at these three things and now assess any relationship in our lives based upon this and say, what can I do to improve this relationship? What can I do to make it more meaningful, more supportive, more fulfilling? What can I do to go through life feeling like I've got healthy relationships in my life? Because these aren't just discovered. This isn't a matter of you needing to go out and find somebody who has these three things. These are behaviors. These are practices. These are things we create in our relationships. These are patterns. And so now you have the knowledge to know that anybody you meet, truly, and if you do these three things, then you can build a healthy relationship. A relationship needs these things to live. We can do this. It's a little countercultural. Our world is not structured around prioritizing relationships. And yet we're dying from the lack of them, literally. We are craving this. We want to be seen, and we want it to feel safe, and we want it to feel satisfying. We want this. We're scared of it. It might feel awkward. We might not know exactly how to do it. It might mean flexing muscles that we haven't used. It might mean practicing things that feel uncomfortable. It certainly isn't always easy, but it's worth it. We want this. We're wired to function best on a health perspective, mental and emotional and physical health. We are wired to perform better when we feel connected to each other. And so don't just leave it to chance. Know what it is that will help you feel connected. And may those of us who know this now go out and help be a part of increasing the positivity, the consistency, and the vulnerability in all of the relationships we're a part of. That could have huge ramifications. If even a few of us affect even a few of our relationships, we can truly change the world. Thank you. Hope you enjoy all the videos.